G'day, and welcome to the Best of the Rest F1 podcast with Sticks and Fraser. Tune in weekly to hear everything Formula One. Welcome to the Best of the Rest podcast with Sticks and Fraser. Apparently we're already rolling. I didn't even know. I was ready for my intro, but God, no warning.
Back for another one. Spanish Grand Prix.
We're back. She was a pretty hot one, really. I didn't mind it.
A surprisingly action-packed weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't really see that one coming going into the weekend, but man, we ended up with all sorts to talk about.
Yeah, the race itself, my opinion, was probably a little bit slow. I mean, there was a bit going on at the start, working out what was happening. Kind of went a little quiet through the mid part, but fucking oath, we had a cracker at the end, didn't we?
It all went down. Not necessarily the action-packed racing on track, but probably some of the decisions around. Yeah, the hecticness that sort of it's going to leave everyone talking. Mainly Max Verstappen's decisions.
Oh, Verstappen,
mate. I guess before we get into all of that, let's start at the beginning of the weekend. Practice sessions, not really a whole lot to cover from that. Pretty standard for the most part. The McLaren boys still looking quick. A lot of talk about the new technical directive around the flexi wing situation. Well, Red Bull in particular, pretty confident that McLaren were going to lose their advantage and probably put Red Bull up there, which now, in hindsight, may have been the reason why Max may have lost his marbles a little bit. He probably went into this weekend thinking, we're on, I'm going to be a bit more competitive. And, didn't pan out that way.
Yeah, well, don't quote me on the measurements to be exact, but I think it was something like that. They had 15 mil of flex in the front wing, and then with the new regulations, it could only be 10 mil. Does that sound about right?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a third decrease.
Yeah, so a lot of the teams were trying to say that that's where McLaren had all their advantage, but I mean, even before seeing the race and the qualies and stuff, I didn't think that there could possibly be that much advantage in an extra 5 mil of flex in the front wing, but you kind of never know. But now we do.
Right, so practice, look, not a whole lot to cover in that, but so if we jump into quali, we had quite an interesting Q1 exit there, mate.
Yeah, so the first 5 people eliminated in Q1. So we had 20th Tsunoda, Colapinto, Sainz, Ocon, and Hulkenberg at 16th.
It feels like we just stopped talking about that Red Bull second seat. It's sort of Yuki blended into the background somewhat.
Yeah.
You know, other storylines that sort of emerged. But, then he puts us in a bloody somewhat of a Red Bull sandwich again. 20th, mate.
Just bloody can't keep himself out of the spotlight, so to speak.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah, just poor fella. I don't even really remember what really went down.
Well, what I remember is that he thought it was a good lap. He thought he got the most that he could get out of the car, and then he still puts it P20, which sounds exactly like Lawson.
Yeah, that's right. Came across the radio, was pretty happy with his lap, and then it came back. That's P20, mate.
Like that's a lot scarier than just finishing up the lap and going, like I screwed up this corner and I did this and knowing where the time is. But when you think you've sort of extracted almost the limit of the car and then P20 just in no man's land.
Yeah, it's a little bit embarrassing, I guess, for Tsunoda, unfortunately. Like you say, it'd be better that he had a big moment. He went off. He had a crash even, like something that you can kind of say, this happened, not getting out of the car, feeling like you got all the performance out and literally plumb last.
Sainz, another notable exit in that Q1 session. Williams, James Vowles come out and said that they expect to be slow this weekend, but yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. Like, you know, it's just starting to see a bit of form here from the Williams team, and hoping that Science can kind of start to do something with it. Albon's been putting in some fantastic performances, and I was kind of hoping to see Science up there, and like your prediction for the race and stuff, that we might get 2 Spanish drivers in the points in the top 10, but starting 18th, he's got it all ahead of him.
And the last notable exit there is Colapinto again. He's struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Not coming in and setting the world on fire how I guess everyone sort of expected to, as he did last year. And not this blinding start, not this huge contrast to doing.
Yeah.
Pressure building on the young man.
Yeah, there was a lot of expectations there that he'd come in and kind of clean up as such with some of the results he'd been shown with the Williams last year. But, maybe it's a good point for doing that he possibly was performing as best he kind of could in that car. But, not favourable for Colapinto.
Right, Q2 exits. We'll quickly run through this and then get on to the actual spicy stuff that went on for the rest of the weekend. But we had Albon 11th, Bortoleto 12th, Lawson 13th, Stroll and Behrman 14th and 15th. Again, just to echo the previous statement, but Albon second Williams, which is no Williams in Q3, is quite surprising, considering what we've come to see this year.
Funny saying that, isn't it?
That's such a that's such a rogue statement.
Disappointed, and it's a bad result almost for the Williams not to get into a Q3 session.
How quickly the bar changes. You've a few good results, and then all of a sudden you're like, "What? Williams not in Q3? What is going on here?"
Yeah, and Albon being disappointed for missing out on a podium kind of thing.
Yeah,
like that's the kind of standard that they're starting to set, which is great. Like I love it. This is where I love to see Williams, and even from them being essentially best of the rest, but it's a pretty tight battle around there. Like it doesn't take much of a slip up and another team will get in there. Hadjar's always seemingly performing quite well, and
it comes back to that old racing adage of you're only as good as your last race, and it doesn't take long before, whether that can be a positive or a negative, but you put in these blinding performances and then you don't put in one weekend and you're like, what's Williams not doing up there? But you sort of forget that, hang on, Williams has been shit for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, going back the last few years, essentially 9th and 10th fastest team, hands down. And now to be, it's weird not to see at least one of them in a Q3 session. Yeah, kind of strange, but definitely a welcome change, that one.
All right. Nothing more really to add from those Q2 exits. Jump into the top 10. Freezer, run us through 1 to 10.
So 1 to 10 on pole, we had Oscar Piastri. Second on the front row, Lando Norris. Then we had Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, Antonelli, Leclerc, Gasly, Hadjar, and Alonso in 10th.
Nothing really revolutionary in that top 10. Piastri and Norris, flexi wing hasn't really affected them a whole lot.
No.
Piastri, the greatest pole margin for this season, 2/10, which is again,
how crazy is that to say? The biggest pole margin this season is 2/10.
I know we had high expectations going into this season for the racing, and it's not been as close come race day amongst a bunch of teams, but quali is delivering. It's so close, it's insane.
And at least it's not like, the Red Bull kind of dominance or the Mercedes kind of dominance where it was more one driver and the other one was second fiddle. At least with the McLaren duo, they're so closely matched at the moment that it's almost a flip of the coin on who out-qualifies who. And now with this session, what's that put? Is that 4-3 to Oscar or 5-4 to Oscar or something like that?
Yeah, I think 5-4.
I think it's 5-4, including the sprints. So yeah, like their qualifying sessions are so close, only 0.2 away from each other again, and then even down from them, it's such a close battle, even third to sixth, seventh kind of thing.
It keeps the championship alive for us. Like, yeah, McLaren have run away with the constructors, but we still got a drivers' championship to keep an eye on. It's
Ellie's bloody let one off there, mate.
Oh,
Jesus.
rough.
Whew.
Keep them distance.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like we still got a championship on. Norris and Piastri, it's going to be spicy. You know, they're going to come together. They're going to be battling wheel to wheel at some point this season if the championship stays neck and neck. So, yeah, we've still got that to look forward to, plus a lot of other stuff. But years gone by, it's been Verstappen by how far? And, okay, what else is going to go on? But, yeah, it's going to get spicy.
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving all these tight results and qualies. And, yeah, speaking of results, let's move on to the race.
Right. We'll run through, podium to start. We had Piastri, another race win from Norris, Leclerc in third. And then we had Russell, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Hadjar, Gasly, Alonso, and Verstappen is your top 10, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, so
let's talk about it.
I guess the main one there that sounds, there's a couple, but the biggest one that sounds weird is the Verstappen in 10th. So he did finish 4th on the track. Did he finish
fourth on
the ahead of Russell? No.
Oh, no, he would have finished behind after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he finished 5th on the track behind Russell. An incident we'll probably touch on a bit later because that happened very late in the race. And he got a 10-second grid 10-second penalty. I'll get there eventually. Which dropped him down to 10th. So he just snakes home with the 1 point there. But
we'll get into the meat and potatoes of that because that's going to be a whole discussion in itself. So stay tuned for that one. But off the rip, Hülkenberg, mate.
Hülkenberg in 5th.
We can't gloss over that. So first and foremost, he didn't get driver of the day. That's a robbery. Daylight robbery.
That's just criminal.
Absolutely insane.
What race were the people watching? Do you reckon, because it was Verstappen, wasn't it?
Yeah, Verstappen got driver of the day.
Do you reckon they just voted on that because of this incident that we'll touch on later?
It had to have been a piss take because even up to the last few laps, like Hülkenberg made up a couple places late, but Verstappen didn't have some sort of god-tier race.
Hülkenberg started 16th.
And finished 5th.
In a Sauber.
In a tractor.
Like, seriously. And he was looking good all race because right at the start, he made up like 5 or 6 positions in the first lap or two.
He went hard.
Yeah. So he was on one. It wasn't just he got lucky with the retirements or penalties, which he still did make the most of, but with the Antonelli retirement towards the end, another Mercedes power unit failure.
That's getting concerning at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll get onto that. Hülkenberg, I know a whole lot of shit went down at the end of the race, and it's taken away from Hülkenberg's amazing drive. Like that, it might as well be a win for him. The car that he's got, yeah, there's a few upgrades they've put on that vehicle, but he's just putting it nowhere near where that car deserves to be. And that sort of raises the question, has he been shafted to not have a top seat at some point in his career? Because his talent is at the stage where it's undeniable.
Yeah.
Like Ricciardo got all the spotlight in his time during Formula One, but Hülkenberg, I believe, is about the same age, and he's outlasted Ricciardo. And if anything, he's built into this even better patch of form towards the later part of his career. He's what can he do if Audi give him a decent car next year? Yeah,
well, I guess that's the thing. Is he just kind of almost waiting his time out to see what Audi brings and the hype that is around it? Like, can they produce a competitive car from the start, or is it going to take a bit of time? But hopefully, with the way things are heading, then they can give him a car to compete with.
If he finishes up his career and doesn't end up with a podium, he'd have to be the greatest driver to ever race in Formula One and not stand on the podium.
Yeah, not even get a podium. Like,
it'd have to be.
It's already a crazy start.
It's just, I can't believe it.
Because there's that many drivers that have already snagged themselves a podium or a win here and there that...
Well, yeah, Stroll for one.
Yeah, that aren't always, competing up towards the top. But he, it's just one of those things. I don't know how it's escaped him. Like, must be so unlucky, but yeah, incredible driver.
What other things stood out to you from the race apart from the obvious there, Freezer? Did you have any standout moments?
Bortoletto was looking pretty steady too, to be honest, in the other Sauber. So he ended up finishing 12th there. He was sitting around that kind of mark for a fair bit of the race anyway. And then with that late safety car from Antonelli's power unit failure, he did get overtaken by Alonso and maybe someone else. So, yeah, kind of. Or it might have just been Alonso. So then, he lost a couple of positions from the overtake, but he also gained a couple anyway from Antonelli retirement.
I've got to say, another team that springs to mind here, has got to be the yo-yo of the season. You just don't know what you're going to get from him. Like, I don't know whether it's just track specific or what goes on. You sort of get one driver that goes all right and then it'll reverse for the next weekend, or they're just sort of in no man's land, which was this race. They just sort of didn't show up. And
yeah, they're both pretty terrible.
What is the go there?
Yeah, they're pretty unpredictable this season. I was expecting that they might be the team that kind of picks up those kind of last few places, somewhere around Williams even. And with the way Komatsu kind of started them off quite strong, but I think he's kind of almost admitted a bit that they've got some eyes on next year, so interesting to see what's going ahead there.
Very, very strange.
And Albon, early retirement. So he had the nose of the car in a couple of places that didn't belong twice.
Well, yeah, 3 front wings for Williams this weekend as a team.
Oh, wow.
Mate, Williams as a whole had a stinker.
Yeah.
Like, I know we touched on it before about their qualifying effort, but yeah, the Sunday was probably worse again. It's just a weekend to forget for them.
Yeah.
Albon in particular had a stinker. Wing damage, was it first corner, first lap sort of a thing?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was either first or second corner. Can't remember exactly what happened there, but yeah, essentially went into the back of someone. I think someone might have tried to cut back in front of him and
just first corner shenanigans.
Yeah, but
then he second wing later on the race, which led to a DNF, but then he got a penalty, 10-second penalty. So just as they went to DNF, retire the car, he had to go back out, serve the 10-second penalty, go out, because otherwise he'd carry that on for the next race weekend and it'd end up being grid penalty. So he sent the old busted Williams out there to do a little parade lap.
So had he used all of his wings? Is that what had kind of happened there? Like they only have the one and the 2 spares kind of thing?
I'm not sure exactly how that works. I'm just assuming it was probably so far off the back and they had no pace that it was like just keep the miles off the engine and save it for next weekend. Signs, sort of nowhere again. I think this track just didn't suit the Williams package. He had okay pace, but it was, ended up 14th in the end, and he had wing damage as well.
Yeah.
At one point. I'm sure it's going to be a weekend that they will review somewhat, but they'll move on pretty quickly to Canada and see if they can get a few more points on the board there.
Hamilton was looking pretty quick. A little bit quicker than his teammate Charles at the start. Then there's a bit of a weird pit stop that kind of went on. I never really heard too much to whether it ends up that it was a shit strategy and that's why he's dropped off or I think whatnot. But
it was the other way around at the start. Leclerc had more pace than him and they walked around the outside. They did the old switch position after they had a little bit of a battle, and I think he looked good on the Saturday, and on the Sunday, he just, I don't know, it just seems to be a story with him. And the press conferences afterwards, he mopes about and talks about how shit the car is.
Yeah. And they pitted him quite early on the softs.
Yeah, it was really early.
He was questioning why they pitted him so early, and they said they were trying to protect from an undercut. And, not really sure how that one panned out, if that was a poor strategy call, which, looking at his results and his drop-off at the end of the race, it kind of did seem that way. But
I think his confidence has been knocked big time too. If you're start of the race, both on your teammates on the same tyres as you, you're in the same car, and he's just got that much more pace that, more or less was going to overtake him if they didn't say swap positions, which makes sense because you don't want either driver to burn their tyres up defending against one another. And then at one point, I think it was only a few laps later, not long, and Charles had like a 4-second gap on him. You're like, where is Lewis's race pace?
Yeah.
And the problem here is that in recent years, it's been Lewis has sort of struggled on the Saturday, but he's come good on a Sunday. Like his race pace is still there. It's competitive. But it's sort of starting to slip a little bit. And it starts to raise questions.
Yeah, I'm sure he's still trying to get to grips with the team and, different race engineer and whatnot. But hopefully he can start to find a bit more consistent race pace.
And I think the problem there as well is that all makes logical sense, but that he doesn't have many years left at the top level. So he's got to adapt to these things quick because he hasn't got 5 years to build into a window where he can compete. It's got to be...
Yeah, it's now or never.
Now or never, really.
Yeah.
Not necessarily this season, but like if he gets off to the same start next year, then there's another championship that's, he's not going to be competing for. So there's a lot of pressure there. And I think it's starting to wear him down somewhat.
Yeah, definitely. So Charles got the podium. That kind of came about with Antonelli having his power unit failure, bringing out the safety car. So we had pretty much, was it all the top 6 or 7 or something like that? They all pitted and put on new tyres. Well, not new tyres, but put on a different set. So I think it was Piastri and Norris, and they both put on used softs. They'd done a few laps in quali. Verstappen got put onto the new hards, 0 lap old tyres, completely new. Charles, I think, was a used soft or used tyre as well, and George might have been something similar. And when it all kicked off, well, just before when the safety car was released to come in, you saw Piastri absolutely slam on the brakes, just completely drop the anchors, almost had Verstappen run up the arse of Norris. And then they took off for the restart. The two McLarens looked pretty good. Verstappen came around the last corner and had a big wiggle. Leclerc got side by side and overtook him down the main straight. They had a little touch, but nothing major. It was all in a straight line. Then Russell fancied his chances, tried a dive bomb around is that outside? Or is it inside that then becomes outside? Yeah. And then Verstappen had to peel off to that escape road and come back. So he stayed ahead of Russell, kept racing for a bit. Verstappen's team, so GP, came on and said, give the position back to Russell. Max absolutely blew a head gasket. Thought that it was no way known he should have been given it back. He then ends up backing off in a corner. So he's on the inside of the corner, backs off dramatically. Obvious that he's given the position. Russell essentially flies around the outside And as he's getting to the apex and slowing down to actually take the corner, Verstappen speeds back up and just sideswipes him, just full on, just straight into the side, like absolute fucking assassination. And yeah, they keep driving on and finish the race. Obviously, Russell gets ahead and Verstappen got the 10-second penalty. And after the race also ended up with a what do they call it? 3-point penalty, 3 penalty points to his super license.
Okay, first and foremost, Verstappen is lucky that the contact was wheel to wheel, because if that had gone into the side of Russell's car, then it'd be a lot more dramatic than what it already has been. Like, I feel like it's been swept under the rug somewhat. 10-second penalty for that is a fucking slap in the face to anyone else who's got a 10-second penalty for anything else that's happening on the racetrack. It's a sport that prioritises safety first and foremost. You get somebody that essentially, it boils down to using their car as a weapon.
Yeah.
He's decided, fuck you, I'm going to slam into the side of you because I don't like the way this has gone. Pull your head in. But the FIA are too scared to actually give him a proper penalty. Like, that realistically should have been a drive-through penalty. If Russell gets whatever he got, drive-through, stop and go, whatever it was at Monaco, for cutting the curb, cutting the chicane.
Yeah.
And then Verstappen does that. Both are, yes, unsportsmanlike, but Russell wasn't putting anyone at danger when he cut the chicane in Monaco.
Yeah, and I think Lawson got a penalty at Imola or Miami, and that was like a 10-second penalty, and all it was forcing a driver off the track.
Was that when he overtook someone and then went off track limits at the next corner or something?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. It was either, he overtook and then
fucking insane.
Kept the position off tracks to gain an advantage, or it was that he forced the other driver off, one of the two.
I remember him getting one at one point because he overtook on the straight and then outbraked himself at first corner somewhere. Yeah. And it was a 10-second because people were going like, what the fuck's that for?
Yeah.
How are they in the same fucking ballpark at all?
Yeah, like literally a...
track limits violation, essentially.
Track limits violation compared to a premeditated sideswipe, like borderline assassination attempt. And like you even saw in the cool-down room, Lando said, oh, yeah, I've done something like that. And everyone kind of paused to be like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, in Mario Kart.
Which is a great call. That is a call of the weekend. But that's... you can't even compare it to when Vettel did that to Hamilton because they were under safety car conditions and Vettel, yes, he hit him, but they were doing slow speeds and it was a tap, like side on, like almost like a fuck you, I'm here type of thing.
And that was kind of more on a straight, like a,
bump the wheels.
Yeah.
But yeah, Verstappen, that was just fucked up.
And you saw how he had to lunge to get that like timed the way he did. So
he knew what he was doing.
If he had mistimed that by a little bit, that could have been like straight into the side pod or almost over the top of his car.
The interviews after the race didn't help the fact. You could tell that he was still fucking boiling. And it was a good, I don't know, I'm assuming probably 15, 20 minutes after the race had finished. Mm. So he must have been just off his rocker in the car. He wouldn't answer the questions. They were pretty softball sort of questions, like, is this a good look for the sport? Well, no, it's not. But he's like, does it matter? Who cares? We're going to lose the championship. Were we ever in it? Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah.
So circling back to what I said earlier in the podcast, it does seem a little bit like, okay, maybe Red Bull targeted this one on the calendar. This is when the flexi wing's going to come into play. The McLaren's going to lose their advantage. Max is thinking, all right, well, I'm on here. Put in a good weekend. I'm a good chance for winning this. And then McLaren have gone strength to strength. He's probably out there in the race going, well, fuck me, that's probably the Drivers' Championship gone because we haven't got the advantage we expected to. Then this other shit's gone on and he's just couldn't handle it and made a fucking idiot of himself.
Yeah, and this is where Max has got it kind of all wrong, and this is the moments that I lose respect for him as a driver. Like, it's these kind of moments, and like, when he was first coming in with Ricardo, when they were both in the Red Bulls, and I think it might have been Bahrain or something, and he ran up the arse of him because he moved side to side, and then almost kind of brake checked him. It's moments like these that you just kind of shake your head and it's just like that spoilt little brat kind of attitude. And it's like, mate, you just need to pull your head in and just go race. Like, he's one of the greatest drivers getting around. He's knows the rule book inside and out. He's that driver that continuously makes the rules have to change because he finds those loopholes. Be that driver. Be that person. Don't be the one that gets aggressive and like literally tries to take out another driver. And why take it out on George? What? It wasn't George's fault.
No.
Like, yeah, he tried that move and, you know, it should have been the other way around. Like, I probably believe that George was probably more in the wrong for that initial move. But
would it have happened if it was any other driver, or is it because they've got a little bit of...
Yeah, is it because of their past beef? Because there was allegations that Max had said he was going to put George on his head into the wall. So, you know, that was almost what he fucking tried to do here.
It seems very like child in karting, competitive karting sort of behaviour. Like, I'm fucking going to lose it, so I'm going to take you out.
Yeah.
You do see that go on. And it sort of reminds me of, you know, the Charles Leclerc, just an incident.
Yeah.
When Max was getting interviewed at that same time, you could see he was fucking boiling then.
Oh, yeah.
And so obviously he's got that shorter fuse and he can run hot.
Yeah.
But, mate, you can't be doing this sort of shit. Like, so many kids look up to you and there's so many, Formula One champions of the future that are growing up now, that are karting, that are looking at Max Verstappen. I want to be Max Verstappen. I need to emulate him. And you don't want kids thinking that that's okay, because it's not.
Yeah, you go to the local kart track, you know, and where you can log yourself in as whatever bloody driver name you want kind of thing, and people call themselves Verstappen and whatever. And you can't even do a move like that at your local kart track. You can't even do it in Dodgem cars at a bloody fair. You'll get pulled out. Like, and this is F1, and that's the kind of move that he tries to pull and the attitude that he has.
It's, yeah, you do that at your local rent-a-cart, you know, they're going to kick you out real quick and go, mate, you don't fucking drive our karts like that.
No.
The one other thing that sort of annoys me is how Christian Horner just went full on in like, yeah, I'm going to back him up big time and, you know, rah, 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 there was nothing in it, meh, 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 meh. Well, that's also like, mate, you don't have to, I understand it's your driver and you need to defend. You need to defend your driver, but there's a way of doing it without making yourself look like a fucking cockhead and you're just going to do whatever is in Max's best interest or your team's best interest, which that is probably most team principles, but more so probably Horner and...
Horner and Max, you see it all the time.
And I guess Toto would probably fall into that category, but yeah, I don't think that's a good look. No. You could literally come out and say, yeah, that was a mistaken judgment call, and you don't have to leave it. You don't have to give any more details. You can just leave it at that and roll on with it. But
yeah, or just that you're going to review the footage and the data and talk to Max. Like, could have just been that, and that's not saying either way. You could agree 100% with Max, or you could, you know, almost be sacking him the next day. Like, that kind of a comment would just de-escalate things. But yeah, instead jumping on his side and makes it all worse most of the time.
And that Leclerc contact down the straight too, I didn't really understand the big song and dance about that. Like, that's a little bump. There was nothing major in it, but Max was carrying on about that. Yeah, some of the onboards reviewing it, it looks like Leclerc probably was the one that somewhat instigated the contact, but there was bugger all in it. And yet he was carrying on way out of proportion about that. I don't know whether he was just, maybe it was the race almost expiring and realising that we're fucking not in this championship. So I'm already at a 7 or 8 because of that alone. And this bump's like, what the fuck? And then, yeah, a couple hundred metres later, you've got that George incident. It's, it all did seem a bit out of character.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was saying something about he thought he got hit from behind. So Nicole and I were thinking that maybe he thought he got hit in that restart where he lost the arse end. So maybe he thought that Charles gave him a nudge around that final corner just before he came up beside him, because the side-to-side contact was like nothing. Like that was a rub, like literally.
I mean, it happens a fair bit. It's nothing.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. Honestly, don't know.
Yeah, it was all very hectic towards the end of the race. He didn't, like, I mean, props are due. That save on that safety car restart was insane. Like, he had a massive snap of oversteer, and that was more sideways than what you want to get an F1 car. And to pull that back was crazy. And to not to lose that position to Leclerc behind, like, even more dramatically, because he sort of battled it halfway down that straight. Like, to have that massive snap, save it, and then still be somewhat in that battle with Leclerc is fucking wild. Like, I feel like most drivers probably would have dropped it, but even lost more time where cars are just cruising by at speed.
Yeah.
That was that was hectic, but yeah, fuck, that's not going to be something that's going to be forgotten about.
No.
And you mentioned the penalty points. So he's only one penalty point off a race ban.
Yeah.
So he's got to be... I don't know if the points expire, because they're only 12 months. The points last for 12 months and they expire off the license. So I don't know. I heard it was the end of June, but I don't know whether that means one race or two races. But I mean, either way, he needs to be on his best behaviour in Canada, or else...
Yeah,
man, imagine that as a story.
When they get a penalty point, I guess it'd have to be 12 months. Like, they last 12 months from when you get it, wouldn't it? Because it can't be a calendar year, because otherwise you could have an incident right at the end of the season, and then come the start of the next, you're clean again.
Yeah, I heard the two expire at the end of June, so I don't know, can't recall what they were for, June last year, but... if he's got two races to get through and he really needs to push the limits to sort of try and stay in this championship, man, imagine the story. Would the FIA ban the former world champion from a race, or would they pull some strings?
They'd try everything in their power not to.
And okay, let's just say theoretically they did ban him for a race. Who would Red Bull even put in that second seat or that first seat at that point?
I don't know.
Because
they're so unpredictable at the moment, but you'd think they'd have to bring Hajar up and put someone else in the RB seat. I don't even know who they've got for reserve drivers at the moment.
And then you'd watch the Racing Bulls would kick Red Bull's ass that weekend.
Yeah.
You could guarantee it. If you didn't have Max in that Red Bull seat, the Racing Bulls, I would put money on the fact that they would beat the main team. Because it's Max's car, and I don't think anyone else is going to get that sort of speed out of it. And that'd be fucking hilarious.
Imagine Hajar puts it on pole.
Yeah, and you just realise that Yuki would be watching his seat just disappear if that was the case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it just vanish out of his hands.
One last question for you
before
we move on from that drama. Could this shit show of an end to that race and really Red Bull's shit call and giving the place back to Russell and stupid call and putting him on the hards and rah.
Yeah.
Could this be the final straw with Verstappen and Red Bull? Could he be thinking, you know what, I don't want to do the regs next year, or, I want out of Red Bull. I want to go somewhere else. Mercedes, Aston. Is that a possibility?
There is rumours floating about that there's some other series that he's looking at getting into, but yeah, I don't know. He's hard to read. I don't know if he'd go to another team, if he'd step away from the sport altogether.
I think if Red Bull don't provide him a car to be competitive, I can't see him hanging around just being scrapping for points.
No.
I think he wants to be competing for championships, or he doesn't really want to do it.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to be happy just to cruise around at the back of the field, who's either going to be want to be in a top car, or he'll go do something else. He'll go drive in the WEC or something.
I think he's either wants to be at the pinnacle or... Personally, I think if Red Bull either don't promise him a decent car for next year or at least show some good pace come the end of this season or the second half, two-thirds of this season, I can see him walking away from Red Bull and potentially joining a Mercedes or maybe an Aston Martin, depending on what comes around. I can see him chasing the success in a car that's going to be quick. I don't think he's the type of driver that's going to be like, oh, well, I'm a Red Bull driver through and through. Like, I'm just going to stay with them and ride the ups and the downs. Like, I don't think he would be interested in that.
Do you think Aston would be quick?
Well, it's all legs on Adrian Newey designing a car that's actually going to be quick in these new regs. That's really the only thought process. But I mean, anything could happen next year, but I can see Verstappen being pissed off and being, this is my team. I want it to be quality. Why are you making these calls? Why are you doing this? Rah, 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 rah. But yeah, time will tell.
So what would that be? A Verstappen-Alonso lineup, or what do you reckon?
Oh, it'd have to be. Oh, we didn't even mention that, did we? That Stroll pulled out of the race.
No, I was, thinking, I was trying to wiggle my way to tie it back round.
Nice little segue.
Yeah.
I just stepped in it.
Yeah, just stepped straight into...
That's probably
Anyway.
something we probably could have mentioned probably end of quality, but Stroll didn't race. The first story was that the pre-existing injury from 2023 had flared up and rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, where he broke his wrist before the 2023 season.
And must be hard being a full-time wanker. Yeah, but then it comes out after the race, doesn't it, that it may not be the case.
Yeah, so he, after his qualifying performance and exit, allegations have floated around that he got pretty agitated and abused a few of the engineers and whatnot and broke some equipment. So, kind of putting a theory together of the messages that we're kind of receiving is maybe he got a bit too angry in certain respects and hurt his wrist in the process.
I mean, there's clearly a strong link between being knocked out in Q2 and those inanimate objects that are just sitting there that are asking to be punched.
Yeah.
Got nothing to do with the fact that you're... No. Simmer down.
But yeah, they're trying to... Aston Martin's announcement was that his pre-existing injury had flared up and it had been aggravated from, I think it was even Miami, but I don't see how, if it was giving him that much grief, why you'd compete into a quali session with it being that painful when you got Dragovic sitting there waiting to go, because as soon as you start that quali session, you cannot be replaced.
He's full of shit. He's just punched something out of anger, and
it has to be.
Good old PR teams come out and tried to string some bullshit together to make it seem like he's not a fucking complete wanker.
Yep.
Just another reason why they should get rid of him.
Well, otherwise, wouldn't he have been complaining about his sore wrists from the past 3 races?
I suppose you wouldn't know, because every time he's interviewed, he fucking says 2 words and pisses off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how was the race, Lance? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
Are you happy with the result? No, it was okay. It's like, fuck me.
Yeah, Mr. Personality.
Anyway. Anything else you want to cover from the race, Freezer?
No, that's about it from the...
I guess the only one more thing that sort of stands out is Hadjar, again, with a quality performance in that. The Racing Bull, very impressed.
Oh, it wasn't that good, was it? He got beat by Sauber.
He, so did bloody 3/4 of the field. He, bit unnoticed considering what happened at the end of the race and some other bits and pieces. But, man, Hadjar, Rookie of the Year to this point, insane. After that start in Australia, he's bounced back phenomenally. Let's jump into some some points and bits and pieces, predictions.
Bloody oath. Sounds good, mate. I'm keen. I know that. So, our predictions coming into the weekend. Who'd you have for pole, mate?
Piastri, mate. Same as you.
Yes.
We both went all right there.
I also had Piastri for pole. And who'd you have for the win?
Piastri as well.
Very good. So did I. How'd you go for second?
I had Russell second, Verstappen third. Went a bit bold and, yeah, no good.
That's unfortunate because
you've had a blinder.
I went Norris second and Leclerc third and didn't even know it until I opened up my laptop to record this episode.
That you've absolutely smashed.
I thought I was somewhere around that, but I didn't realise I'd literally had the clean sweep.
That's a pretty good. Well, first and seconds. At this point, we're almost which way around it going to be. But Leclerc in third is, it's a pretty good call.
Oh, I'm happy with that one.
My left of field, I had both Spaniards to bring home points, which was no good because Sainz had a rough race and was, bring up the rear.
Yeah, he essentially made it all to do from quali with that 18th, so that was always going to be a hard one to pull off.
Never going to happen.
My left of field, I had Ferraris both top four. I thought I might have been on one then where Leclerc passed Verstappen and then Verstappen and Russell came together with his little dive bombing attempt. I thought, oh, fuck, here's some damage. Hamilton's going to sweep through and here we are, but no, she didn't happen. But that's all right. I was pretty happy with that one.
All right, dropping the ball for the weekend. I think we both fumbled this one quite badly. I had Norris, which clearly didn't happen, finishing second.
I had Hadjar, which I was going to try to argue. He got beat by Sauber, but no, you can't really say that. It's an incredible drive by Hulkenberg and also an incredible drive from Hadjar to finish, what was he, seventh again?
Mate, I think the best lawyer in the world would struggle to argue that one.
Great drive by the young fella, so keep it up.
Right, points tally. If we fucking have to.
We certainly do, my friend.
I reckon we should start bringing in like double points rounds or something like that. That sounds like a good idea.
But then I'd just build a bigger gap on you.
Yeah, it would. Big time.
So this Grand Prix sticks, you got 2. I got 4. So that gives us a total for the championship of sticks on 11 and Freezer 17.
Mate, you're bloody.
Oh, look at that. 6-point gap. That's a goal in AFL.
So you
straight
can
through the big sticks.
You can just sit there and, comfortably predict for the rest of the season. If you could just sit there and go, yeah, McLaren's up there, just lock in some nice points. And I'm going to have to try and go bold. And it's either going to go one way or the other. And the way the McLarens are looking, I think I might be fucked.
Mate, you never know what the rest of the year's got in store. A lot can happen.
I have the word on the street is that you may have another game cooked up, mate.
Yeah, I do, but I just realised I've kind of stitched myself up because we're having a crack at getting some visual aspects to this episode, and most of the stuff that I was going to do is on my phone over there. But anyway, I can wing it a bit. Righto, I've got my phone now. The game that we're going to play today, Sticks, well, you're going to play, is Can You Name Them All? Sticks, come on down. So, heard that you know a little bit about the support categories, Sticks.
Oh, damn, I don't know.
F2.
Where you heard that one before.
F2 in particular. Watched a few races and qualies and keep a little bit up with it. Done a little bit on the game as well, racing with the F2 teams. So,
we will see how that goes.
Let's see if you can name all the F2 teams on the current grid.
Mate, I'm fucked.
So, there are 11 teams. currently in F2.
Are there?
There are.
Okay, it's good to know.
I'll give 2 points for a correct answer without a hint. 1 point, I'll show you the logo where I have scrubbed out any name that would obviously be in the logo. And I think a pass mark is around 11 out of 22.
I am so
50%.
fucked. That little intro you gave me on, I've heard you know a bit about Reddit. That's very stretchy. Like very, very fucking stretchy. I am...
Oh, shit.
I think I'd be in trouble if the pass mark was 5 points, to be honest.
You reckon?
Yeah, dead set.
5?
Yep.
All right.
Let's see how we go.
Come on, mate. Surely you know a team or two. So hit me. Give us a team in
Trident.
F2. Trident. That is 2 points.
Okay.
Very good job.
It's
unfortunate that you got that one right straight away because that would have been one of the easier logos.
Yeah.
But anyway, who else have we got, old boy?
High tech.
High-tech TGR. There's another 2 points.
The F2 teams confuse me because it's like, oh, you've got a Red Bull livery, but then you're this team and then you...
Yeah, I was going to get the liveries of the cars as like a way for you to guess, and then I realised very quickly that does not work.
Clusterfuck.
Yeah, there's Williams and Alpines and
all in the same team.
Red Bulls and yeah.
It's like whoever the driver's sponsored by it must be. Is there
livery, it's all to the driver academy and then the F2
Road.
actual driver
okay.
team they race for.
Oh, there's a watch brand. Invicta.
There is Invicta Racing. Yeah. See, you've already surpassed your 5 points you predicted. You're on 6 currently. You've got 3 teams correct just off the top of the dome.
Just remind me of the teams that I've already said.
You have said Invicta Racing, High-Tech TGR, and Trident.
There's a blue one. And it's...
Yep. I don't really know fully because
called...
race with all different liveries.
Is there an Alpine team? No.
There's no. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but there is no teams that are related to F1.
Well, I'm fucked.
No, you'd know a few of these.
Throw a few rhyming ones at me.
No. No. That's not part of the game.
I'm sure people at home are like, fucking mention this one.
Probably.
It's not that hard.
Do you want me to let's get a couple of photos up of some logos.
Yeah, off my head.
We ready for some logos?
Off the top of the head, I'm all out. Give me some logos.
So that was your Invicta one that you've already got right.
Okay.
So let's see if I can revert to original. There we go. Look.
Invicta Racing.
Wow. Look at this high-tech shit, eh?
High-tech, eh?
That would have been good for you if you didn't already know them. Does this logo here look familiar, Sticks?
No.
No?
Looks like the Brisbane Broncos.
All right. Well, this one probably won't help you much.
Accelerating talent. No.
The only tip I'll kind of give is the colours around the logo. That might help. No. Next.
No.
Oh, that's high-tech.
Yeah, mate, I'm up shit creek without a paddle here.
So that one was high-tech that you already got correct. Well done. This one. Surely.
Is it Prema Racing? Is that
it
Prema?
It is.
Hey!
Let's have a look here. Revert to original.
Get in.
There we are.
Prema. Didn't
so
know I knew that, but
that's a 1 point there.
What am I close? Is that 8 points?
7. 2, 4, 6, 7.
Oh, yeah, because I only get one. Fuck.
Does this logo?
Dams.
That's correct.
Woo!
Damn.
Dams,
Lucas Oil. Not sure where the Lucas Oil comes from, but
the ground.
Does it?
Usually where they find oil.
Oh. So what's that put you? That must be 8, big boy. Alrighty. I don't know if this one's going to do much to you.
Grand Prix.
Yeah.
We got a red
little
flicky thing.
Red kind of.
Sort of lines in the middle of the road, but red in a perspective that curves to the left into the distance.
Very good. Does that do anything for you, though?
Yeah. No.
No?
Who is it? Do you know?
Yep.
Who is it? Who is it? Without deleting it, who is it? He's looking at his list. He's got no idea.
Yeah, no, that's who it would be.
Who is it?
I can't tell you. I'll tell you the answer.
No, I've already avoided that one. I'm not going to get it. Motorsport. Carlin.
It kind of rhymes with Carlin.
Oh, Marlin.
No.
Isn't Carlin a team?
No.
Fuck, I thought. OG Racing.
No.
PG,
Look at this one. Look at this one.
Shrek Racing.
Yeah.
Green Box Racing.
Yeah. Is there any bright green teams that ring any bells for you? Have a similar livery to the kick?
Tractor Racing.
Yeah.
It's not kick racing.
No.
Something related to.
They're probably one that are probably closest related to an F1 team, but.
Sauber Racing.
No.
Audi Racing.
No.
Fuck. What is it?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. I'm avoiding it.
That's AIX Racing.
What the? How the fuck was I going to get that?
Here we go. Revert to original. AIX Racing.
How was it? How was I going to get that?
I don't know. How not?
I've never heard of that before in my life.
There you go.
That one. Two. One fat orange box and one long skinny orange box.
Yeah, because their logo was all writing.
Yeah, nah.
Oh, there's Nicole and I and Cooper at the engagement party.
Lovely.
All right. Are you all guessed out?
Yeah, mate, I'm cooked. That's it.
So this one here, that's going to be Campos Racing.
Campos? Never heard of it.
Haven't you?
No.
Here we go. Revert to original. There you go.
Never heard of it.
Campos. This one here.
You've got no idea.
I think this one's MP. Yeah, that one's MP. MP.
Never heard of it.
MP.
Where did I get Carlin from then? I thought that was something.
High Tech Prema Dams. This one was the one that you quizzed me on. I'm pretty sure that's ART.
Oh, yeah.
You heard it?
Looks like a T.
Have you heard of ART?
Yeah, I think so. That one does ring somewhat of a bell.
Yeah, ART. Art. What else we got? This one that you thought was Carlin. That's Roden.
Oh, I've heard of Roden.
New Zealanders.
Like that famous podcaster.
Who?
No, it's a shocking joke.
Oh.
I'm going to put a lid on that one.
Okay. And this one would be it's VAR. How do they say it? Van Amersfoort Racing.
I'll believe you.
Well, you'll see it for yourself in a second here. There you go.
Never heard of that before in my life.
And that's it. That's the total. That's all the teams in F2.
Yeah, let myself down with that one.
2, 4, 6, 8.
Shit.
8 out of 22.
Shit.
Were my expectations a bit higher?
Yeah, look, 5. We should have just middled it out.
So as a recap, you got Invicta, straight off the dome, 2 points. Campos didn't get. MP didn't get. High Tech TGR, 2 points. Prema, 1 point.
This has got like a Brownlow feel about it.
1 point. ART.
Essendon v Hawthorn. Z Merit, 3 points.
ART, no points. Roden, no points. AIX, no points. Trident, 2 points. And VAR, no points.
Rough.
Not too bad, Sticks. Not too bad.
I need to do a little bit more homework for myself here and develop a game that I can start quizzing you up with, mate. Put you under the pump. Formula 3 drivers. that start with A.
Ugo Ujukawa.
Geez, that's a rogue one to throw out there. Would have been throwing some Smiths out there or something.
No, because I know it's true.
Is that actually driver?
Yeah, I just don't know how to actually say his name.
Oh, right.
But I've probably just butchered that.
Probably.
What's it like? Tika Tappinen?
Tika Tappinen.
I think so. It's definitely Tappinen.
This shit's getting rogue, I think.
It's
about time we box
Louis Shaw.
Get us out of here.
I've been watching a bit of F3, mate. All right, time to retire today's episode. If you've liked us, then give us a 5-star rating. That'd be great. It'd be really appreciated. Leave us some comments, some feedback. Give us a follow, subscribe, or share us with another F1 fan.
Yeah, do that one, especially.
Good input, mate.
Yeah, nailed it.
All right, catch us later.
Oh, look at this. This is not a dog. This is a piece of shit.